Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Joe Two in Love. Heels off a great Revolution pay per view. Here again with Dynamite. Great episode. So, very telling episode. As it's funny, we just came off Revolution on Sunday. This was all show, but it was also kind of a go home show because St. Patrick's Day Slam is next week. So it was a mixture of a Fallout plus a go home show. So very hand in hand, but still a very noteworthy show. And some interesting outcomes for the show. For starters, in the main event, Scorpio Sky, the new TNT champion, he defeated Sammy Guevara after Sammy Guevara took a hellacious spot off the top rope through a table. I thought he was, well, he's definitely going to be feeling that spot through a table. He was being checked on midway through the match, but he still continued. Ultimately lost to Scorpio Sky. Now, next week, as St. Patrick's Day Slam, it's going to be Wardlow, who won the Face of Revolution ladder match, facing Scorpio Sky next week for TNT Championship. A 1 week reign for Scorpio Sky. I mean, it would definitely be feel bad for Sky, but Wardlow, I don't know how. I mean, of course, MJF could screw him out of the title, but it's very hand in hand. And the other thing, really big of note, by the way, or I'll mention it in a sec, but the other big bits on the show was Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy, the younger brother of Matt Hardy, the Hardy Boys, reunited tonight on AEW. I mean, we kind of saw it coming since ever since Matt Hardy's been in AEW. There's always that glance of one last run for the Hardy Boys in AEW. Now Jeff is free from WWE and is now in AEW. And it was just such a treat to see. Um, you know, but yeah, very noteworthy Dynamite epic edition, excuse me. But nonetheless, thank you for joining me. If you're new to the podcast, you want to see more pro wrestling reviews, you can find those on the channel. Click that subscribe. If you didn't, because I posted Tuesday morning, early Tuesday morning, my AEW Revolution review. So you can find that on the channel. If you didn't, check that out. Over an hour of telling a review and my thoughts, how all matches went, including the buy-in, which was great as well. But you can find that on channel as well. But thank you all, and let's dive into it, shall we? So the show started off in a bizarre way. So Jericho came out because it was advertised that Jericho would address Eddie Kingston after their great match on Revolution, where Jericho said if Kingston beat him, he would shake his hand, but he didn't. So Jericho came out, thanked the fans, thanked Kingston himself, but he didn't live up to his word. He said if Kingston beat him on Sunday, he would shake his hand, and therefore he didn't. So he called Kingston out to the ring so he could apologize and right the wrong and shake his hand. So Kingston came out in a very mixed manner of sorts. He came out almost looked like he came out with a heavy heart. So he said once he got in the ring that it was going to get real deep, real heavy. Excuse me. Shortly. So Kingston talked about how Friday he did not want to come to work because Jericho got in his head talking about how he hasn't won big matches, he was afraid of success. So he called out Jericho on that, saying that he wanted to just drink his poison away on Friday, but he didn't, and he thanked fans who came up to him at FanFest and said he hoped that he made them proud. So a touching moment there. So he praised Jericho more on his on some of his past accolades, and they shook hands. And then all of a sudden we hear 2.0's music. So 2.0 and Daniel Garcia come out and they lay an attack on Jericho and Kingston. And then, so the beatdown ensued, and then out came Santana Ortiz. They came out with a bat, chased off most of the members 2.0, and then Santana had Daniel Garcia, and Ortiz gave Jericho the bat, urging him to hit Garcia. But I thought about it, and with what's been happening the last couple weeks with Jericho, Santana Ortiz, I thought about it, and it happened right before. But Jericho didn't hit Garcia, he hit Santana and beat down Santana Ortiz with the bat as 2point0 and Garcia jumped in for the attack on Santana Ortiz and Eddie Kingston. Basically, a ploy and a plot or trap set by Jericho. And then Jake Hager came out distraught, doesn't know what happened, and so having some words with Jericho, and then he wiped out Ortiz, and just more beatdown ensued. The timekeeper's table was set up, and oh boy, this was a dangerous spot, but Jake Hager was on the apron, and he powerbombed A. Kingston through the table, and boy, his head took a big, hard landing through the table and onto the mat below. But as Jericho and his new faction lay waste to Kingston Santana Ortiz, and Jericho announced that this new faction is the Jericho Appreciation Society. So they all flipped off the camera at the way the inner circle used to do it. But pretty much the inner circle is done, and Jericho turned heel, and we got a new faction. Jericho 2.0, Daniel Garcia, and Jake Hager. Now, my thoughts on this new faction. First of all, I like it because 2.0 and Daniel Garcia are all really talented, but they're missing something. They're missing something to put them over the edge. And Jericho and Hager, they can definitely add to that fire. And, you know, you know, with Jericho and with his getting back into shape, what he has done to his body in his 50s, still doing it strong. I mean, very much slimmed down is Jericho, and this faction is only going to do wonders for 2.0 Nana Garcia. Because 2.0 and Dan Garcia are good as a trio, but they're not great. And, this faction could really help them. Plus, on the other hand, I'm sure people were in consideration, well, with what's been going on in the last few weeks with Santana Ortiz and Jericho and Kingston. Could we see Santana and Ortiz turn heel on Jericho? And that was not the case. It was the other way around. And, the crowd loves Eddie King or Santana Ortiz and Eddie Kingston. They are very over. They are very much loved by the AEW crowd. So I like I like it. So yeah, it's good for all parties, I would say. So plus we know Jericho's best work is as a heel, as a dick. So I'm all for it. This will be the better portion of Jericho. So then we got Hangman and Page coming off a great victory over Adam Cole on Sunday. A title match for Dante Martin, who over the past year when his brother Darius has been out, has been great in staying relevant and getting much over with the AEW crowd. This was a solid match. I mean, we know Hangman and Dante can both go. Dante is, of course, still really young. Give him a few more years, and then yeah. But Dante has springboard moonsault to the outside. Went for a drop kick, as seen, but was caught in midair with a powerbomb for a near fall. And then the sequence match, they were just countering each other over and over. But Dante looked like he went for a springboard to the outside, tope, but he was shoved off the ropes back in the middle ring by Hangman. And in one fluid motion, Hangman popped up for the buckshot lariat on Dante for the win. Hangman in a good match, and afterwards he took the microphone from Tony Schiavone, called Dante back in the ring, praised his efforts over the last year, said if he comes back to this point, he'll be glad to do it with them again. And then out came Adam Cole. Adam Cole very much sour over his defeat Sunday night, but he came out there, said it was a fluke, said that it will not happen again. And so he challenged Hangman to a 6-man tag next week to find any two partners to face off against Cole and two very good friends of his to a match. So, and later in the show, we got more clearance on what that may be. So, and after that, we got a tag team match between Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley versus Anthony Henry and JD Drake. This was a short match, nothing much. You know, it was more what William Regal was there ringside. It is more what he said after the match, which really was the vocal point. So, big lariat by Moxley. Suicida taking out Henry. Running knee by Bryan, followed with a label lock. J. Drake tapped out. Then afterwards, William Regal, he was in the ring talking with Tony Schiavone. Thanked him for all he did for him back in the day. You know, when he was just getting started in the business. So he talked about using best at the time he has left as the clock is ticking. But he talked about how the influence and talked about Bryan Danielson being the perfect wrestler. He talked about Bryan. He is who Regal should have been, but for reasons and mistakes, telling Bryan what not to do. And he called Moxley the perfect sadistic guy to take things over the edge when it requires, and why they're a team, why they're the pairing. And he said that for as a warning to anyone out there facing this team, you will not like the outcome, and you will either step up or get stepped on. Big words for William Regal, and I don't know how, if you're a wrestling fan, you can listen to what Regal said tonight and see Jeff Hardy and be like, why are you not watching AEW? I mean, if you're a pro wrestling fan, you definitely have to be watching AEW. And Regal's influence on this company is only going to take it up a notch, both on screen and behind the scenes. It's just going to be great. So we got Pac versus Wheeler Yuta. They claimed it as a standby match because Hangman and Dante did not go the time limit. So, pretty much quick, short match. Yuta, he had crossbody for a near fall. I will say, though, seeing Pac with Alex Abrahantes and Abrahantes' new costume, it seems, and Penta Oscuro. It was strange. It was strange, but pretty simple. We knew Pac was winning. Avalanche Brainbuster and Brutalizer as Yuta gave up. So there was that. Pac gets the W here on Dynamite. So then we cut to Elite. The Elite backstage. Adam Cole, O'Reilly and Fish, and Young Bucks backstage. And Adam Cole it seemed like he was alluding to having the Young Bucks be his partners for the trios match next week. And Matt said, well, anything with Hangman, we want nothing to do with it. So Cole looked a bit frustrated as he said, well, I wasn't going to pick you guys anyway. I was picking O'Reilly and Fish. So there's that. And then the Dark Order, who were backstage, was talking with Heyman, and Silver's asked who was going to be his partners for next week. And, Heyman said, well, he said he saw the tag champs, Jurassic Express, and backstage and said he gave him the vote for his partners next week. So a little, not togetherness, kind of drifting apart, are Hangman and Dark Order. Again, this raises questions some because I know people will probably have the question of with Hangman and the Dark Order kind of having a little dissension, could we see Bray Wyatt, aka Wyndham Rotunda, come into AEW and lead the Dark Order? Because, with that was definitely a question that was raised when back before Brody Lee, or back when Brody Lee passed away, could Bray Wyatt come in and take the reins for the Dark Order? And we'll see, but that's just something to think about. So then we got an emergency AHFO meeting, Andrade Hardy family office. So Andrade, Matt Hardy, Butcher and Blade, Private Party, they were all in the ring. And Matt Hardy was trying to reason with Andrade. And Matt Hardy kept saying, well, his boys, Private Party, they have his back, So Matt Hardy said, well, put thumbs up if you want me in to stay in the Hardy family office, and thumbs down if you want me to leave. So Andrade, Jose, they did thumbs down, and then Hardy put thumbs up and he said stay. And then Private Party, who were right behind them, they put their thumbs up. And Mallory's like, yeah, I told you, my boys were gonna back me no matter what. So then, all of a sudden, it wasn't as impactful, but definitely gives you the vibe of sorts, where Private Party, they put their thumbs down, and Matt Hardy was, again, trying to reason with Andrade, saying we could go places, we could do things. So, Andrade said to always watch your back. So, Matt Hardy, he turned around and he looked perplexed. You know, why Private Party puts their thumbs down, following him out. So it was all a big beatdown by, I guess you call it the Andrade family office. I don't know, but strange. Nonetheless, so then I can understand it because, you know, with Matt Hardy being beaten down, Darby and Sting came out to like a lukewarm reaction where I mean, I understand it because they were probably expecting Jeff at this time. And then they're like, yay, you know, that kind of, yay, they're here, but not who we expected. So Darby and Sting come out and in the ring try to even the odds of sort to with Andrade, Butcher Blade, and Private Party. So then, as the numbers advantage was so in their favor, we hear Jeff Hardy's theme, and oh boy, what a reaction! What a reaction as Jeff Hardy made his way, you know, to the ring, helping even the odds for Darby Singh and his brother. Matt hit his twist of fate on the blade, then a swanton by Jeff, and another bit of a touching moment as Matt was hugging his younger brother, tearing up, and the Hardy Boys are reunited now in AEW. You know, they had a bit of a stare down with Darby and Sting. You know, we know Jeff Hardy and Sting's history in TNA, kind of a bittersweet mixed history, but yeah, nonetheless, great to see Jeff in AEW. You know, Jeff and Matt, you know, obviously growing up with the Hardy Boys, you know, seeing their return in 2017 to WWE and seeing it how it unfolded was very bizarre. And, you know, not really diving into it, but, you know, now in AEW, now the Hardy Boys can finish their run the way they want to. And you know Tony Khan will do justice with that. So great to see and just happy for Matt and Jeff. Shane Swerve Strickland, one of the surprises on Revolution Sunday night. He had A backstage interview with Tony Schiavone announcing that he'll make his in-ring debut on Rampage Friday. But out came Tony Nese, the super athlete. Tony Nese. So, Tony Nese brought up their bit of history, and he said, saying he doesn't have an opponent for Friday, saying they rekindled their feud, and they have one more match on Rampage. So, we're getting Swerve versus Tony Nese. Should be an interesting match. First match in AEW for Swerve on Rampage. So I'm all for it. So then we got Wardlow. Wardlow. He was in the ring with Tony Schiavone talking about his big impact at Revolution, winning the Face of Revolution ladder match to get